Welcome to the Common Man Football Show. My name is James Coburn, and today's episode, we're talking about the Cleveland Browns 2017 season review analytics. That's right, analytics. I know some of you guys probably hate me because I'm an analytics guy, and analytics destroyed your team. But essentially what we're doing is we're looking at team statistics, and we're looking at all the areas where you were below average. And we're also going to look at all the areas where you should improve. So this video is about, okay, this is the areas where you were bad, and this is what you should think about improving in the offseason. So if you take it like that, a more positive spin on it, then I think you might enjoy this video. If you think I'm just coming up with all the reasons why the 0-16 Browns are bad and how historically bad they are, then I don't know what to tell you. But this video's main emphasis is to just let you know all the areas where your team messed up and how to improve in the future so that you win more football games. So that's what this whole video is about, is helping you win more football games based purely on how you perform, statistically speaking, based on every single team since 1998. Also going to give you some historical perspective as well, like how bad is this Browns team compared to every Browns team. And also giving you some general thoughts and concerns about different sort of stuff as well. So all terms and definitions are going to be in the description. So if you're not familiar with any of the work that I do, if you're completely new to the channel and you don't know all the stuff, you can just go there and all the stuff will be there. Some of the video is going to be just looking at a chart, and the terms and definitions will be there so that you can look at the chart at your leisure. So you can pause the video, look at the chart, and kind of make your own decisions and stuff. But in general, I just want to go over a lot of the data that I think is important, and then a lot of the other stuff is just extra stuff for you to just on your own time do your own research and stuff like that. So looking at the season data review, so this is how the Browns did in 2017. Pretty much below average in almost every single thing. Significantly below average in a lot of different areas. Their total O score was pretty much bad. The ability to create first downs on offense was, of course, non-existent. The ability to prevent first downs on defense was kind of meh. The turnover ratio, how many turnovers you had as a team, was historically bad. And a lot of people want to point out that, oh, well, the Browns performed really well in certain areas. Their turnover percentage was so, like, if you want to say what's the single biggest reason why the Browns went 0-16 this year, it's how many turnovers they had on offense. Because when you're turning the football over at that high of a rate, when you have a 1.26 overall turnover percentage score, which the lower it is, the worse it is, you're not going to win a lot of football games, guys. And you add on top of that the sack percentage. They just allowed really, really poorly in terms of allowing sacks. There's reasons. We'll get into them, but we won't get into them. But again, sack percentage bad. Offensive score percentage, the ability to put points on the board, non-existent, historically low. Offensive score percentage, the defense definitely was better than the offense. The defense was able to prevent more points compared to the offense's ability to put points on the board, but both of these areas were below average. The defense was below average. The offense was below average. Turnover ratio on defense, really, really low. So not only did you turn the football over a lot, but your defense couldn't create turnovers either. And that is another reason why you were 0-16. Sack percentage on defense, below average. Definitely better than all your other defensive data points, but definitely below average. Interception percentage, below average. So again, your defense was better than your offense. But let's not get it twisted. Both offense and defense significantly below average in a lot of different areas. So just keep that in mind. Special teams wise, across the board, pretty much below average, pretty much everything. The only things that were above average was your punting average, and your kick return yardage was about average, a little bit above average, but around there. And of course, field goal percentage was pitiful, as is your extra point percentage, and all, which is basically everything combined compared to everything else, was 5.20 out of 100. So this was not a very good football team. They went 0-16. But if you want to tell me, if you were going to go, James, why did we go 0-16? It's because you turned the football over at a very, very high rate, and your defense couldn't create turnovers either. So that is scary bad. Like, that combination of turning the football over and inability to create turnovers is just a very bad combination to have. Then, of course, we get into how bad was this Browns team compared to every Browns team. Well, here you go. Every Cleveland Brown team since 1999. It gives you how bad they were compared to all the other teams. And as you can clearly see, the Browns, it's really weird to talk about this because based on the data, the Browns were pretty much slightly better than the 2016 Browns. But it's so close that it's like a blur. But I mean, I would honestly say that the 17 Browns are worse because of the turnover ratio and the inability to create turnovers on defense. You know, I mean, if you look at the turnover ratio for 2016, it was basically average. And then 2017, it was like 1.26 out of 100. So, like, the 2017 Browns were definitely worse. They went 0-16. But there definitely is a lot of stuff in the data pointing towards the fact that the 2016 Browns and 2017 Browns were pretty identical, with the exception of a couple things here and there like turnover ratio and other sort of points like that to kind of consider. So, bottom line is the Browns were not that great. You can look at all the other Browns teams, of course. It's a factory of sadness. I'm sorry. And then, of course, when you look at this Browns team compared to every Browns team since 1999, they pretty much were the fourth worst team overall. But in terms of turnover percentage, the 2006 Browns actually had a worse turnover percentage on offense. But again, historically low turnover percentage, offensive score percentage, very, very poor as well. There's really not much to say. The Browns have been really bad. This, of course, was an 0-16 season, but what can you do? So again, bad. Now let's get into some areas where you can improve. So this is what teams who win 12 to 16 wins typically score. This is like the average score in these various data points for 12 to 16 win teams, 9 to 11 win teams, 8 wins or more, and 7 wins or less. When you look at the Browns, they need to improve in terms of the ability to create first downs, the total O score. They need to improve the ability to create first downs. They need to improve the ability to prevent first downs on defense. They need to improve the total O/D score, which will improve if you improve the total O and the total D score, because that's the total O/D score is a combination of the total O score and total D score compared to all teams since 1998. Turnover ratio. You most definitely need to stop turning the football over as much as you did last year. If you continue to do that, you are going to lose football games at a very high rate. The sack percentage needs to improve. You need to be better at creating sacks. You also need to be better in terms of creating turnovers. Your defense has to be better in terms of preventing points. Like interceptions, of course. Like defense in general needs to improve. Your defense was the best aspect of your team last year, but the defense you had was not amazing. So, offense needs to improve. Defense needs to improve as well. Special teams don't really get into much other than field goal percentage. That field goal percentage is just terrible. Extra point percentage as well. Place kicker, definitely a kind of thing to consider. And, of course, if you can improve all those areas, your overall score will improve. And if it improves into the 70s to 80 range, you should be seeing 9 to 11 wins, 12 to 16 wins, etc. If you can improve all these areas, which, keep in mind, that's a lot of things to improve. But I'm just giving you the facts in terms of what to improve. Now, when we get to the next part of information, so now we're going to look at some other sort of data points here. Now, you can pause the video and look at all this stuff, because this basically has point differential, margin of victory, strength of schedule data. Like, there's a bunch of stuff to unpack here. But I want to focus in on first down completion percentage, second down, third down, rushing downs, and passing downs. When you look at the big areas of badness this year, completion percentage was one of those. First down completion percentage, very bad. Second down completion percentage, bad. Third down completion percentage, ugh. The area where you actually got better as a team was your running game. Like, your running game, in terms of like your ability to create first downs with the run, was as good as it was in 2007 in many ways. So your rushing attack was actually pretty good in terms of converting with the run in those different areas. But then when you get to first down conversion rate with the pass, that area, below average in terms of first down, second down, and third down. At least in 2016, you were above average on third down. Same thing with 2015. But again, you can just see 2017 below average across the board. Not only that, this is DeShone Kizer. DeShone Kizer was the worst quarterback in the NFL based on data. And again, this is with quarterbacks who had a certain amount of starts. So certain quarterbacks didn't start enough to be added to this data set. But Kizer started a lot of games and was pretty much the worst quarterback, which I think probably did contribute to the turnovers and contribute to a lot of different other areas and stuff like that. But overall, the biggest thing I think you need to improve upon or think about improving upon for the Browns in terms of after looking at all this data is passing. They have to improve their completion percentage. They have to improve their conversion rate. The running game is not the biggest deal in the world. So the running game was already pretty strong. But they have to get better in terms of the passing game if they want to win more football games. So we get to team needs. So this is team needs based on data. This is what you should be trying to look for in the offseason, when it comes to free agency and when it comes to the draft. One, offensive playmakers. You need to get better in terms of getting wide receivers, tight ends, whatever, man. You have to get more offensive playmakers because if your offense is not able to put points on the board, you probably are lacking offensive playmakers. I mean, there's no way around it. So that needs to improve. Offensive linemen. Yeah. When your sack percentage is that high, in terms of giving up sacks like that, definitely the quarterback should get some blame. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I understand there's some offensive line gurus are gonna come on and but when your offensive score percentage is that bad, you have to improve. There's no way around it. So offensive lineman definitely is a must. And of course with Joe Thomas and all that kind of stuff, that's definitely worrisome. Thirdly, quarterback. DeShone Kizer was the worst quarterback in the NFL last year. He was really, really bad. Turnover ratio had a lot to do with him. Completion percentage had a lot to do with him. I've already done videos in the past detailing how DeShone Kizer has a very low shot of becoming a long-term starter in the NFL. This is not Jared Goff. This is not Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz had pretty good data coming out of college. Jared Goff had pretty good data indicators coming out of college. DeShone Kizer did not have very good data indicators coming out of college. That's the difference. So I understand how it's easy to have wishful thinking that, DeShone Kizer is going to be Jared Goff or DeShone Kizer is going to be Carson Wentz. Those guys were actually good in college. DeShone Kizer was not good in college. Based on every statistical data point I have that I've done, they weren't good in college. Carson Wentz was actually good in college. Jared Goff was actually good in college. So I understand that there's going to be a lot of people that are going to make that argument that DeShone Kizer is magically going to be like Wentz or gonna do Goff style second year whatever. But you have to understand that those other guys had indicators coming out of college indicative of a potential starter to better. DeShone Kizer had indicators coming out of college of a future backup, of an E.J. Manuel level player. So again, I understand that people are going to want to spin this however they want to spin it. If you're a Kizer believer, you're gonna hold on to him as long as possible, and you won't let go until you finally do, and he sinks to the depths of the Atlantic Ocean like that one movie, The Titanic. But don't be that guy. Take my advice. The advice of the man that said that Deshaun Watson was the top quarterback last year. The advice of the man that got a lot of stuff thrown at him because of that take. After all the stuff, DeShone Kizer, very low likelihood that he becomes better. That's why you have to get a quarterback. Secondly, defensive playmakers, linebackers, cornerbacks, safeties. What do you really need to improve upon? You need to improve upon turnovers. Sacks, I think, will come when you get a better secondary, because you have a very low turnover ratio. You have a very low ability in terms of getting interceptions. That has to improve on defense. So I think, honestly, when it comes to sacks, those things might improve if you get a better secondary. But so far, you have Myles Garrett, you have different sort of things to kind of play with. But if you really want to get better on defense, linebacker, cornerback, safety, those should be points of emphasis. Those should be players that you should be trying to get, because you're trying to create turnovers, you're trying to do stuff like that. And those are the positions where usually there's a lot more turnovers and, interceptions and stuff like that. It's specifically those positions, those three positions I just mentioned. And then finally, you need to get a place kicker. You need to get a much better place kicker, because you cannot have a field goal percentage or extra point percentage that low and expect to win football games. Your offensive score percentage will improve a lot if you just hit those 3-pointers more often. So another thing to think about, another thing to emphasize. Those are all the team needs based on data. When it comes to free agency, when it comes to the draft, these are the types of positions and players that you should be targeting, that you should be thinking about, that you should be talking about. If you do this, if you get offensive playmakers, if you get offensive linemen that are good, if you get a quarterback that's decent, if you get defensive playmakers that can create turnovers, and you get a decent place kicker, you will win more football games next year. If you don't, you will remain the Cleveland Browns. So, of course, my name is James Coburn. You can find my other work at draftcoburn.wordpress.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Geometrics. And if you like this content and you want more content like this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Share this video as well with anybody that you know. Hit that notification button so that you're always notified when another video of mine drops. And I will talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.